Greetings, eagles. And today we are going to be talking about why you need to stand up to your bully. I'll begin with a story that happened to me long, long ago. This happened, I think it was 2013. I was in a boarding school. So I'm going to share with you some memories that were the most significant examples of me standing up to bullies that I can remember. All right. So, there was a bully in the hostel. Now, the first thing you need to remember and you need to know about a bully is that they are people too. They are human beings just like you and just like me. They all have feelings. They all have fears and insecurities. And there are reasons why they do what they do. That is very important to remember. Now, I'm not saying this to justify what they are doing. What they're doing is not justified. The reason I'm telling you this is for you to remember that they are not invincible. They are not invincible. That's very important to bear in mind. All right. Now, there was this bully who was picking on me and other guys in the hostel. At the time, I was much more skinny than what I am now. And back then, I was not as strong here and as strong here and here as I am now. So, he took advantage of that. And in that time, I stood up to him through a rap battle. The reason for this was he mocked a lot of people, and people were too afraid to mock him back. Why? Because whenever they did, he would react harshly towards them. A fight would start, and not even a real fight. He would start the fight when they had turned around. When they had turned around, he would go and tackle them. But nothing face to face. Nothing face to face. That just goes to show. Now, I won against him in the battle. Skipping all of the details, what happened was I gained more respect among my peers. I gained admiration among my peers and honor. Number 2, I grew up. There was growth. I realized that it's possible that I can stand up for myself and others. A part of me knew this before this occurrence. Do you know that you can stand up for others? That you can stand up for yourself? That you are probably stronger than what you think? That you are probably underestimating yourself? The other point is, if I had let him continue, I would have just been that same person trudging through life. I wouldn't have grown so much and learned so much from the experience. I became bolder. Now, there's a second story. A story that takes place later on in my life, much later. I won't mention where I was or what I was doing there, and I won't mention names because these are acquaintances of mine. All right. So, there comes a time in your life when you will find there is a bully, someone who is making fun of you, who is belittling you, or who is taking advantage of you. This can come through the form of physical interaction or verbal interaction. And manipulation. All right. So this story, a friend of mine was asked by two other friends to get into a sleeping bag and let them put it up to here. He was standing now. Now, I would not call these two bullies. They are human beings just like you and I. And they make mistakes. They mess around, they fool around. We all make mistakes. But in this instance, they were being bullies. All right. So, I was watching this very carefully. And now they asked him to stop holding on the sleeping bag as he's standing and to allow them to just have it up to here. And for him to just trust them. Just trust them. And then he looked to me, he turned his head towards me and he said, "Paul, just make sure they don't do anything to me." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, don't worry, I've got you." Because I knew, I could smell what was about to happen. And this thing, I would not wish upon anyone. And because I would not want it to happen to me, I most certainly would not want it to happen to someone else, let alone my friend. Now, as he allowed them, he let go, and they began to try and envelop him in the sleeping bag. Now, when I saw this happening, realizing he could suffocate in that sleeping bag and how overpowered he could become, how they could just overpower him like that and hurt him like that. So you know what I did? I ran there and I said, "Hello!" And I took that thing and I pulled it down against two other guys, both of them bigger than me. But because I entered it full force, I entered action with boldness. No fear in me. I shouted and I pulled it down with all my strength. And my shouting and boldness surprised and shocked the two people. And they let go. Afterwards, my friend hugged me and he thanked me. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. I said, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. I knew what it feels like to experience such pain. So with great passion, I protect someone who could not protect himself. Now, the point and the moral of the story is, if you just allow people to do whatever the flip they want to do, you will have anarchy. You know what anarchy is? It's chaos. It's craziness, lawlessness. If I did not interact, if I did not stand up for my friend, let me tell you what would have happened. Okay, for some of you, let me explain how this would have affected me or you in this situation. First of all, if they had been allowed to do this, chances are it would happen again. Maybe next time to you, maybe next time to me. So if you don't stop a bully in his tracks, or stop someone from doing wrong in his tracks, it could happen again. Secondly, if you are unable to stand up to a bully now, while you are this age, how do you expect to stand up to a bully when you are older? The reasoning behind this and the logic behind this is, bullying may seem a small thing now, but no. Bullying is found throughout the journey of life, throughout your existence on planet Earth. Okay, I just got interrupted, so I paused. Where was I? Anyways, if you are unable to stand up for yourself now, how will you do so in the future? If you do not do it now, you will never do it. You will never do it if you don't do it now. Now, I'm not saying if a dangerous man with a gun is robbing a lady, you must go head on and start a fist fight with him or tackle him. Because in some instances, you can cause more harm than good. The man could, for instance, start shooting people. Maybe try to shoot you, and he misses you and hits someone else. That is a situation in where you must also remember to use your brain. But there are situations where you can help someone else without hurting someone else, without making it worse. So, you need to be able to protect not only yourself and your current family, but also your future family. You need to step into that mindset of taking control of the situation, of protecting those you love. Now, there's a third story. This is further back in the time of my life. A bit before the sleeping bag thing. I was in the kitchen and I was busy making food when I heard someone screaming, "Help! Help! Help!" I looked out. I went to the bushes and I looked over them. I saw someone by the soccer field fence, and I saw them being kicked in the rib cage by a larger man. This individual just so happened to be a helpless woman. So what did I do? Now in this situation, I could have done more thinking, which is what I should have done. But I'm just telling you that it is better to also take action. Taking action is also very important. But in this one, I was a bit silly. All right? I made a mistake. Okay. So, my heart beating fast, I'm filled with adrenaline. I began to take things from the toolbox. I take 2 weapons. I run to the pastor's office. I say, "Pastor, there's someone beating up a woman by the soccer field. Let's go." We go. We leave the building. We are walking down the street. As we arrive closer, I see the man has a weapon. He has some type of knife. Now I have a claw hammer, and I've given to the pastor, I think it was a wrench or something along those lines. Now I was frustrated. I was angry. Why? Because men, remember, I was under 20 at this time. Men, grown up men, were passing by without doing anything. What did they do? They looked. They just looked. Walked by on their business. "Oh no, it's got nothing to do with me. No, it's their business. I'll stay out of their business. Stay out of their business." If those men had stopped, we could have amounted to maybe 20 individuals, 20 men, to outnumber and overpower this gangster. But no, they just passed, walking as one twig, another stick, another stick, instead of being a bundle of sticks together which are harder to break. So I, the kid, went to take action. When I arrived there, I realized the man was larger than I had seen him, larger than I thought. And the weapon he was holding was longer than I had anticipated. And now the pastor next to me, he says, "Paul, let's just stay out of this." And he moves a bit to the side. Now I'm alone. Oh yes, very important detail to mention to you. I had already screamed at the man, "Zay," which means you in Afrikaans. I had grabbed the man's attention. Now the man had turned around and said, "Praat jy met my?" Translation, Are you talking to me? That is what he said to me. At this point, I was alone. At this point, I realized I could die. At this point, I realized this man is not far from me, just across the street, with a weapon that is about as long as a human arm. He began walking towards me. I realized my foolishness and my silly mistake. I placed my life in jeopardy. The pastor spoke to me and said, "Paul, let's just turn around and call the police." I realized this is a smart move that I had not thought of. I turned around, started walking away. The man was walking after us. I just felt numb. It's as if it wasn't even real. I walked back. I hid in the house. Then I started to become afraid. I became scared. I didn't want to die. Skipping all the details of what I did then, in the end, the man was looking for me. My mother panicking, shouting, saying, "Paul, stay in the house. The man is looking for you. He doesn't want the pastor. He has seen the pastor. He doesn't care about the pastor. He's looking for you. He's patrolling the streets, asking, 'Where do you live?'" Eventually, I realized I can just press the alarm button. And when the alarm sounded, the man left. Now, what is the moral of this lengthy story I told you? The moral is that after that man had encountered me, the young kid, he left the woman. I bought her some time to get away. I distracted him from her. Even though I ran away afterwards, I did more than the grown-up men with families. Think about that. Isn't that shameful? And the point of the video is for you to not be like those men. The point of the video is to encourage you, to motivate you, to inspire you to be a soldier, to protect those around you, to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, and comment. Till next time, Eagles, I will see you again.